My name is Irene Whitlow. I'm 30 years old, a grants manager who makes stubborn budgets behave and keeps the lights on for programs most people forget exist. If there's a fire, I'll grab my laptop before the photo albums. Not because I love it more, because it tells the truth. Numbers stay where you put them, people don't. I live in a modest two-bedroom on the fourth floor, the kind of place you can clean top to bottom in an hour if you keep moving. The dishwasher knocks as it runs, like a polite guest asking if I'm awake yet. The plant in my kitchen isn't thriving so much as enduring. I'm 8 months pregnant, carrying a boy who has a talent for well-timed kicks, as if he knows his mother is long overdue for a boundary she hasn't had the courage to draw. In daylight, my work is order. Grants, invoices, reports. Columns line up. Reconciliations reconcile. At night, order leaks. My family has a saying, family is everything. It sounds warm until you've been nominated to be the everything. I learned early how to press confirm on payments that weren't mine, and to call them love. Evan, my partner, is a quiet man who notices patterns. He doesn't talk much about money. He talks about peace. "You're trying to build peace on top of chaos," he told me once, setting a mug of tea in front of me. "It won't hold." I nodded like I agreed, and then did what I always do. Opened my banking app and made sure the auto-pays would go out on time. Most nights I work at the dining table, one hand on the trackpad, the other on my stomach, feeling for the thick, steady roll of a baby turning in the dark. I tell myself that sacrifice is part of the deal, that I'm buying peace the way other people buy groceries. But the peace I buy never lasts. It rinses out by morning and leaves a ring of resentment at the bottom of the day. This week, the calendar on the fridge has a star drawn around Saturday. My mother's idea. She's throwing me a baby shower. She says it's going to be tasteful but generous, which, in her language, means a crowd, speeches, and a microphone she didn't have to borrow. The dishwasher taps twice. Knock, knock. I close my laptop and listen to the quiet. If you're here right now, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. I want to know who's with me when the noise starts. Saturday arrives soft and bright, and my mother's living room looks like a catalog spread. Pink and gold balloons drifting at the ceiling, a lace table runner under a pyramid of cupcakes, a station where cousins iron vinyl letters onto tiny onesies, champagne sweats and tall flutes for everyone but me. There's soft music and louder laughter, the kind that tries to settle everyone into a single mood. I let people touch my arm and tell me I'm glowing. I nod and ask about their kids, their knees, their trips to Florida. Evan stands near the punch bowl, steady as a lamppost, meeting me with small, private looks that mean I'm here, and if you need to leave, we'll leave. My mother, Ruth, floats from guest to guest with the energy of a maitre d'. She claps for the diaper raffle, shepherds a guessing game, checks the cake like it might run off if she looks away. Just before the cake, she finds a microphone. She always finds one. She taps it twice. The room hushes. I'm seated on a chair with a satin bow tied to the back, a handmade diaper cake in my lap, a ribbon sliding against my wrist. My mother smiles wide enough to shine. "Before we wrap up," she says, "I have a special surprise." On cue, my sister Brielle squeals, a sound that turns heads. Mom raises a glossy folder above her head. "Because love deserves the world," she sings. "I'm sending Brielle and Lucas on a fully paid European honeymoon." The names of cities spill like pearls. Rome, Paris, Santorini. She adds the number like a flourish. $32,000. Applause breaks like a wave. Whistles. Someone shouts, "Yes, Queen!" Brielle rushes up and folds herself into Mom's arms. They bounce a little the way people do on game shows when they've won a car. The sound blurs around me. I hold the diaper cake a little tighter, like it might float me to shore. Evan's smile is polite and thin. He takes a single sip of punch and sets the cup down carefully. Aunt Nora leans toward me with a smile that isn't unkind but isn't neutral either. "Older sisters," she says, touching my shoulder. "Such blessings, so reliable. I nod without trusting my voice. Reliability, I think, is just obedience with nice manners. Mom turns back to the mic with a hostess's briskness. And before the cake, quick reminder, mortgage is due Friday, sweetheart. She looks at me, eyes bright, voice warm enough to pass for love. 3,200. She winks, like we're sharing a joke. Brielle looks over Mom's shoulder and flashes me a grin. We'll send photos, she says, like offering me a souvenir is a kindness. The room tilts a degree. Isaiah kicks hard once, then again, like he's knocking from the inside. I smooth my dress and keep my face steady. The cameras catch the moment I fake a laugh. The cake arrives, a cloud of buttercream with sugar pearls. We sing. I blow out nothing. Presents stack around my chair, blankets, bottles, bathwash in tiny bear-shaped bottles. I say thank you in the same tone I used to use with bank representatives when I was 19 and asking for late fees to be removed. Good evening. I understand. Thank you for your help. When it's over, the room relaxes into crumbs and crumpled tissue. Guests slip into coats. Someone argues cheerfully about who gets the last macaron. Mom kisses my cheek, leaving a trace of lipstick. Wasn't that lovely? She says, already glancing at the folder as if it might vanish. I tell her it was beautiful. I tell Brielle I'm happy for her. She kisses the air beside my face and asks if I can Venmo the photographer deposit just to get the ball rolling. Evan squeezes my hand once, a clean, grounding pressure. The dishwasher in Mom's kitchen starts up, tap, tap, as if the walls have learned to knock. I lift the diaper cake, smile at another camera, and feel something inside me go very still, like a lake deciding it won't take another stone. Back home, I set the diaper cake on the counter like it might topple if I breathed too hard. Evan carried the gifts to the dining table and left me a glass of water without comment. He knows to let the air settle. Outside, the hallway light clicked off, and the condo slipped into the kind of quiet that feels like permission. I showered, put on a soft t-shirt, and climbed into bed. Evan kissed my forehead and fell asleep in minutes. I watched the ceiling for a while, tracking the parade of headlights as they slid across the paint and disappeared. Around 1:00 a.m., the dishwasher started its cycle. 2 polite taps at the beginning, like it was reminding me of something I refused to say out loud. At 1:12 a.m., I gave up on sleep. I slipped from the bed, pulled on a cardigan, and opened my laptop at the dining table. The screen's glow felt too bright, then just right. I placed one hand on my belly and the other on the trackpad. The baby shifted under my palm, a firm turn that made me straighten in my chair. I opened the banking app. The dashboard bloomed with its neutral blues and grays, tidy and unbothered. My bills stacked in a calm row: rent, utilities, groceries, savings. Then the one that doesn't belong. Mortgage, $3,200, scheduled Friday. The word scheduled sharpened into something mean. I hovered over the toggle and heard my mother's voice from the afternoon. Quick reminder, sweetheart. I heard Brielle too. We'll send photos. The cursor blinked like a metronome. I took a breath. No, I said, barely above a whisper. Another breath, steadier. We're not doing this anymore. My thumb nudged the trackpad. Click. A prompt slid into view asking if I was sure. I read every sentence, as if the app were a contract and I might be sued by my own good manners. I clicked confirm. A small green check appeared. No flourish, no fireworks. A soft chime I felt more than heard. The dishwasher hummed in the kitchen, washing someone else's glasses, rinsing away fingerprints. My shoulders dropped like someone had cut a string. For a full minute, I just stared at the screen and waited to feel guilty. It didn't arrive. Relief did, circled once, and sat down. I opened my email. The subject line box blinked, empty and ready. I typed, "Boundaries plus plan, next 90 days." In the body, I wrote to my mother first, plain and respectful. I love you. Things must change. Effective immediately, I won't be paying your mortgage or any other bills. I can help with budgeting twice a month on Thursdays at 6 for 1 hour. Emergencies only by phone, everything else by email. This isn't anger. This is clarity. I signed my name and read it 3 times. My finger hovered over send. I didn't press it. A second draft for Brielle. Subject, honeymoon and money. My gift remains $20,500. Do not use my name, address, or card for wedding or travel. If you want help building a budget, I'll help on the same terms. I wished her joy and accountability in equal measure. I sat back and let the words settle. I opened a blank document and typed a title across the top. What I will no longer do, what I am willing to do. Under the first heading, I listed them without apology. No auto-pays for other adults, no co-signing, no emergency transfers, no group texts about money. Under the second, 2 dinners a month, my treat. Budgeting help if asked respectfully. Emergency rides without a lecture. I printed the page and taped it inside the drawer where I keep stamps and warranties. I wanted a policy I could touch. Before shutting the laptop, I opened my contacts and found the number I'd saved months ago. Property manager, Irene Delgado. I called and let it ring into voicemail. Hi, this is Irene Whitlow, I said, keeping my voice level. I'll be reclaiming my spare room soon and may need a new lease drawn up. Call me after 9. I hung up and stood there in the quiet, the old life settling behind me like silt. The dishwasher clicked, then hushed. I closed the laptop and turned off the dining light. In the dark, I rested my hand on my stomach. The baby rolled, slow and sure, as if to say, finally. I walked back to bed and slid under the covers. Evan shifted, half awake, and draped an arm over me. You okay? He murmured. I will be, I said. And for once, it wasn't a promise to someone else. It was a line I'd finally drawn for me. Dawn lifted over the blinds in thin strips, and the condo felt newly swept, as if the night had done the cleaning for me. I made coffee I barely sipped, opened the laptop, and pulled up the 2 drafts waiting like patient witnesses. I reread every line, took out a softener here, added a period there. Then I did the plainest thing I've ever done. I pressed send on both. The whoosh was small, but it traveled. I watched the messages land in the outbox, then in sent, then disappear into the tunnel where other people's reactions live. I didn't chase them. I opened my calendar and blocked 2 squares, Thursdays at 6, for budget help if requested. I set a 1-hour limit, added an automatic end, and color-coded the entries so they wouldn't blend into real obligations. Under each, I wrote a single note. No spillover. The printer warmed and creaked. I printed the policy I'd taped inside the drawer and made a second copy for my purse. I wanted to feel paper when my resolve got shaky. On a fresh page, I wrote 3 simple scripts, the kind you can read off when your voice tries to bargain. Script 1, I can't pay that. Script 2, I can meet Thursday at 6 for budgeting. Script 3, if it's a true emergency, call, otherwise email. I practiced them under my breath as I pulled out my wallet and checked every saved card. I removed mine from places it didn't belong, one by one, not angry, just tidy. Subscription auto-pays that had quietly attached themselves to my generosity, gone. I logged out of shared accounts. I changed my own passwords, not because I feared theft, but because clarity likes clean lines. Next, I set rules on my phone. Favorites, Evan, Doctor. Everyone else, no banner alerts, summaries delivered twice a day. For my mother, I created a new contact label, Ruth, email only, with a small star that meant I'd see her message when the sun was up and my mind was rested. For Brielle, I set a filter to route money talk into a folder called Wedding Not Mine. The spare room stood open down the hall, quiet as a held breath. I took a pad of sticky notes and wrote a list. Reclaim closet, gather keys, change lock after move out, draft guest policy, crib arrives in 6 weeks. I set the pad on the dresser and didn't flinch at the space it would create. A home is meant to serve the people who live there, not the stories other people tell in it. At 9, I called the post office and rented a P.O. box, a small, square boundary at the end of a metal hallway. Bills and official mail would go there now. No more piles on the kitchen counter inviting commentary. I opened a new email folder called Receipts, for gratitude, not guilt, and moved the emails that mattered into it. Doctor updates, insurance confirmations, apartment maintenance, the funny note from Evan titled Names We Won't Pick. Before noon, I drafted one more message, this time to myself. Subject, in case you forget. Body, you did not start a war, you ended a subsidy. Love is not measured in invoices. I scheduled it to arrive in a week, then monthly, like a vitamin. I stood at the sink and listened to the hum of the building, the dishwasher, the elevator, the street. For years, I had translated noise into urgency. Today, it sounded like infrastructure, things doing their job without me feeding them. I washed a single mug and set it to dry. When the coffee finally cooled to something I could drink, I sat at the table and opened my hands on the wood. The baby shifted, a slow turn, not a kick, movement without alarm. I looked at the door, then the policy in my purse, then the clock. No one had called yet. Good. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was choosing how peace would be kept. By early afternoon, the quiet ends. My phone lights up in a stuttered parade. Buzz, pause, buzz, like a neighbor knocking with different knuckles each time. The first text is from my mother, Ruth. This feels cruel, Irene. You're punishing us for loving you. Before I can decide whether to breathe or blink, a second arrives. You don't understand how hard it's been for me. Then a third. Don't let hormones make you mean. I don't reply. The rules are simple now. I wrote them myself. Emergencies by phone, everything else by email. Her fourth message ignores both. It's a photo of us at a picnic from 4 summers ago, my arm around her, the caption, "Remember this?" I set the phone face down on the table and let it go quiet in my palm. 10 minutes later, Brielle tries a sweeter blade. "Hey, big sis. You'll calm down. You always do. Can you Venmo the photographer deposit? Mom's tapped this week." Her next message is a list like she's reading off a receipt. Venue hold fee, florals, videographer. "We'll settle up Friday." Friday, always Friday, the day that never arrives. My filter tucks the chain into wedding not mine, exactly where it belongs. Evan comes in from a grocery run, sets 2 bags on the counter, reads my face before he sees the screen. "How bad?" he asks, washing his hands like he's scrubbing off other people's fingerprints. I hand him the towel. "They're rewriting history." He dries and nods, not surprised. "Your silence is also a sentence," he says gently. "You don't have to argue your way into peace." The voicemails stack. 5, then 8, then 12. Mother first, tears and tremble, then iron under the velvet. "After everything I've done for you." Aunt Nora follows with the tone of Sunday school. "Your mother gave you life." A cousin I haven't seen in 2 years calls me so fortunate and wonders aloud if I've forgotten my roots. I brew tea and fold 2 tiny onesies while the words float through the air like old smoke. When the kettle clicks off, I delete the voicemails without opening them. If it's an emergency, they will call. If it's not, I don't need their weather inside my house. By late afternoon, the gossip goes public. A vague post appears on Aunt Nora's page. Some daughters forget who held them first. Hearts and sad faces gather under it like crumbs under a table. I don't correct the record. You can't fix a story that doesn't want to be repaired. At 4, my email pings, the proper channel, the one I offered and will honor. Ruth writes, "I hope you didn't take the honeymoon announcement the wrong way. We want everyone to be happy. 2 lines later, mortgage reminder for Friday. I read it once and file it under correspondence mother. I answer with exactly what I sent this morning, no more, no less. Budget help Thursday at 6 if requested. Emergencies by phone, everything else by email. The apartment holds steady around me. I start a load of baby clothes, pale blues and soft whites turning in the wash like weather I can predict. Brielle texts again anyway, skirting the filter by sending a photo of a dress with the line, "Should I go with the pearl buttons?" Lucas says the other is more timeless. I let it slide past. A minute later, she writes, "You know, weddings are about family. Don't be rigid." She adds a heart. The word rigid lands and does nothing. Wood is rigid. Beams hold houses. Near dusk, my mother calls. Not a true emergency. The ringtone I assign tells me that. I let it finish and send her a short email instead. "I'm available Thursday at 6 for budgeting. If this is a police or hospital emergency, call again." She doesn't. 5 minutes pass, then 10. The dishwasher hums in the next room, familiar and unbothered. Evan brings me a bowl of cut strawberries and sits across from me. We eat without talking for a while, the quiet, honest, and easy. When he finally speaks, his voice is low. "You're doing it," he says. "You're letting the noise burn out on its own." I nod, set the empty bowl in the sink, and switch the laundry. The dryer door shuts with a clean click. By nightfall, the message is slow. Not because they're out of words, but because I'm out of responses they can use. I turn off the lamp and watch the window darken a shade at a time. The baby shifts, no kick, no alarm, just a slow, sure roll. Movement without demand. The phone lies face down on the table, quiet as a closed door. 3 days later, Evan and I sit in a quiet exam room while the doctor reviews my chart. The blinds are tilted to let in a slice of afternoon, the kind of light that makes everything look gentler than it feels. My phone, face down on the counter, buzzes once, then again. I ignore it. The doctor smiles, says Micah's heartbeat is strong, my blood pressure steady, and we talk through the last weeks like we're packing a suitcase, hospital bag, car seat, pediatrician's number. When she steps out, I flip the phone over. A subject line jumps at me. "Payment overdue. Mortgage, 15 days past due." Beneath it, a smaller one from the lender. "Contact account holder immediately." My name sits in the preview line as secondary contact, exactly where my mother refused to remove it. I feel Evan's hand find my knee. "You're okay," he says, not a question. The phone rings. Ruth. I let it go to voicemail and open the lender's email first. The numbers are tidy and impersonal, a tone I trust. The screen dims and lights again. Ruth calling back. I answer this time because I need to close a door, not leave it swinging. Her voice comes in sharp. "Why would you do this to me, Irene? You knew it was due." "I told you I wouldn't be covering it anymore," I say, even and plain. "Call your lender. Ask about hardship options. They have plans." "You're heartless," she sniffs, then pushes hard. "What kind of daughter lets her mother lose her home?" "I'm not letting you lose anything. I'm letting you handle what's yours." I keep my voice level, the way I used to speak to bank reps when I was 19 and asking for late fees to be waived. She gasps as if struck. The call ends without a goodbye. We leave the clinic into an ordinary sun. In the car, I dial the lender, identify myself, and ask them to remove my name as a payment contact. There's a pause, keys clicking. "Understood," the agent says. "We'll update our records." I thank her and hang up feeling something shift. Clean, final. That night my body decides it's time. A low ache gathers and moves, then returns in a measured rhythm. Evan spreads a towel on the passenger seat, grabs the packed bag, and drives us through a city that seems to know how to be quiet when it matters. In triage, nurses move with the calm of people who've done this 1,000 times. The contractions build. I breathe the way they taught me to. Slow in, slower out. Hours fold into each other until there is only the work of it. Micah arrives near dawn, small and fierce, with his father's chin and a cry that breaks and then softens. They place him on my chest, and the room shrinks to our 3 hearts. The noise of the world pulls back like a tide. I don't check my phone for the rest of the day. I memorize his face. On the 3rd morning, while Micah sleeps with his mouth open in the way of newborns, I open my email. The subject line's crowd, urgent, call me now, you're going too far. I answer one, mine. Subject, mortgage, follow up. Body, I won't be paying your mortgage. Contact your lender, ask about hardship programs. I can offer $500 once if needed. Otherwise, email only. Emergencies, hospital or police, call. I press send. My hands don't shake. The replies begin within minutes. Ruth, you've destroyed this family. A flood of relatives. Are you happy now? Brielle, sweet and cutting. Be compassionate. You have a baby. Now you should understand family. I breathe the way I did in labor. Long in, longer out. Compassion isn't compliance. I tuck the phone away. That afternoon, the lender calls to confirm the contact change. The agent's tone is calm. We've removed your name. I thank her and hang up. Evan returns with coffee and a simple bouquet from the hospital gift shop, a quiet little pride. He kisses my forehead. Do you want to help? He asks, meaning the mortgage, the noise, the old pattern. No, I say, and it doesn't taste like defiance. It tastes like rest. Micah sighs in his sleep. The room hums with steady machines and a soft, harmless beep. Outside the window, morning resets again. I close my eyes and let the quiet hold. We come home to a smaller universe, bottles lined like soldiers on the counter, a bassinet by the couch, the soft rattle of a pharmacy bag. Micah sleeps, wakes, searches, sleeps again. The days find a rhythm that doesn't ask for performance. On the 2nd morning back, my phone rings with an unfamiliar number. I answer while Evan changes a diaper with the seriousness of a man defusing a bomb. Ms. Whitlow, this is Sandra from Hamilton Mortgage. Her voice is steady, practiced. I'm calling to confirm we've updated your contact status. Also, I wanted you to know we've worked out a hardship plan with Ms. Whitlow, Sr. Reduced payment, extended term, no foreclosure action. I lean against the counter and close my eyes. Thank you, I say. The call ends with the tone of paperwork sliding into a correct folder. The storm tries one last pass. Aunt Nora posts a photo of my mother's house, a sunny shot from 3 springs ago, with a caption about faith during trials. Hearts and prayers bloom under it. A cousin comments, "Some people forget who fed them." I watch it collect sympathy and say nothing. Stories that need villains always find them. I have dishes to wash and a baby to hold. By midweek, the message is thin. My mother sends one email with no emojis, no scripts, just facts. Mortgage handled, will manage. The words are shaped like a door closing gently. I read it twice and feel the tightness in my shoulders loosen by a breath. I reply with a line that fits the new container. Glad you worked it out. Micah is well. There is nothing else to add that won't invite the old terms back in. Brielle takes a different tack. She posts a long caption under a photo of her hand on Lucas's arm, pearled nails, a glint of ring. Rising above toxic patterns, she writes, choosing joy. She tells the story so she gets to be both wounded and wise. Evan reads it aloud in a dry voice while reheating pasta. Efficient, he says, and snaps the microwave door shut. I rinse a bottle and let it be. Let her be the hero of a version where invoices are love letters and boundaries are meanness. My version has a bassinet in it and a kid who sighs like a small bell. I make small calls that don't look like victories but are. I set up automatic payments for my own bills from my own accounts. I update the pediatrician's forms and leave the emergency contacts exactly as they should be. I pick up a key from the post office and open the new box, its small metal door cool under my thumb. A boundary you can touch. In the afternoons, when Micah sleeps long enough for me to think in complete sentences, I clean the spare room. I fold Brielle's abandoned yoga mat in half and set it by the door. I collect stray bobby pins in a cup, a small archaeology of a life performed inside my walls. I wipe the dresser and tape my list to the inside of the closet. Reclaim, keys, lock, guest policy, crib, in 6 weeks. Air moves differently in a room that knows who it belongs to. The gossip machine tires without my fuel. Calls dwindle to check-ins from people who actually ask how I am. The dishwasher runs at night, and for the first time, the knock doesn't sound like a question. It sounds like approval, steady, rhythmic, almost proud. Evan hears it too. He smiles over the rim of his glass. Applause, he says. We let the words settle in the kitchen like an honest toast. A week after the hardship plan, my mother calls. Not a crisis ringtone, just a regular ring in the late morning. I answer because regular is the point. She asks about Micah, how he's eating, if he makes little fists when he sleeps. We talk for 7 careful minutes. There are places we don't step. When she says, "I'm proud of you," it comes out like something she found rather than something she made. Thank you, I say, and we end there before gravity changes. On a Sunday, the 3 of us walk to the park. The pond holds the sky without ripples. Evan snaps a picture of me and Micah from a distance and tucks the print into a plain white envelope. For your receipts folder, he says, and I laugh, surprised at how right it feels. Back home, I slide it into place between the pediatrician's note and the silly email he wrote titled "Names We Won't Pick," and the drawer closes with a soft, exact sound. Nothing burned down. The house still stands. The phones still work. The family adjusts to its own weight. I turned off a valve I should never have been asked to keep open. The water didn't rage. It receded. And in the space it left, a life I recognize began to fill. Weeks pass, and the apartment learns our names. Morning means Micah's small grunt, the soft click of the kettle, sunlight laying a quiet stripe across the floor. Afternoon is laundry and a walk around the block. Mailbox, corner store, the neighbor with the terrier who barks like a wind-up toy. Evenings, Evan reads lists out loud we have no intention of following. Sleep schedules, swaddling techniques, the myth of putting a baby down, drowsy but awake. We laugh more than we argue. Laughter holds better. On a Tuesday, I open the drawer where I keep warranties, stamps, and one white sheet. What I will no longer do. What I am willing to do. I run a finger down the columns, not to correct them, but to confirm them. The paper isn't yellowed. It still feels new. I haven't broken a line. The old reflex to bargain hasn't died. It just doesn't win anymore. When the tug comes, I touch the paper and it lets go. The spare room is ready now. I layered a simple rug over the hardwood and set the crib where the light is kind in the morning and mild at noon. The closet holds more air than clothes. A small chair sits by the window, the kind for reading when a baby insists on sleeping on your chest. I stand in the doorway and listen to nothing. A clean room has a sound. The mail in the P.O. box is boring in the best way. Statements addressed to me, reminders I actually need. I bring them home, open them at the table, and put each one where it belongs. No text follows saying, "While you're at it, can you?" The quiet afterward feels like dignity. One afternoon, Ruth calls at a decent hour. She asks about Micah's weight, tells me the hydrangeas finally took in the front yard, mentions a neighbor who's moving to Florida. We stay on the shallow side of the pool. She doesn't say mortgage or emergency. I don't say policy or boundary. 7 minutes again, maybe 8. When she says, "I'm proud of you," it's a statement without hooks. "Thank you," I say. We end there and let the good part be the last part. Brielle posts photos of dress fittings and a caption about reclaiming joy. I scroll past, not because I'm wounded, but because I'm busy. Micah's hand closes around my finger with the focus of a monk. This is a lesson I can stay for. On Sunday, we go back to the park. The pond holds the sky so still it looks deliberate. Evan takes a picture of me with Micah asleep against my chest, then slides the print into an envelope he's already labeled receipts. At home, it goes in the folder behind the pediatrician's note and the list titled Names We Won't Pick. The drawer closes with a sound I trust. That night, the dishwasher runs. It used to sound like a knock, a question I couldn't face. Now it sounds like work being finished, steady, content. I sit by the window and watch the city's lights blink their patient language. Peace, it turns out, isn't a purchase. It's a boundary kept long enough to become a habit. Micah stirs in his bassinet and makes a soft, surprised sound. I lift him and walk the length of the room twice. My voice comes out low. You won't grow up thinking love is an invoice, I tell him. You'll know it's a roof. It keeps out the weather and you get to sleep. He sighs and goes heavy against me. That sweet surrender only babies trust you with. I stand there a little longer, feeling the weight of him and the lightness around us. I'm not their bank anymore. I'm the dam. The flood has stopped on my side, and behind the wall the water is clean, deep, and finally mine.